All right. Hey, 2,800 of you. I hope you guys are ready for this because maybe you do need Kubernetes. Now, before when I used to read boot.dev articles, I used to say, hey, this was an advertisement, but now I work for boot.dev. So I don't know how to say that this is an advertisement without saying this is an advertisement because now I work there. I'm building courses for them, so it's a little bit different. So is it an advertisement? Yes, it's an advertisement. Boot.dev/prime. 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 25% off or something like that. I don't even know. Maybe you do need Kubernetes. By Lane Wagner, March 8th, 2024. By the way, I am a big fan of Lane. He has written the best articles. I think he has consistently delivered banger articles every single time. All right, Theo has a great video on Kubernetes, currently titled, You Don't Need Kubernetes. I am a Kubernetes enjoyer, but I'm not here to argue about that. The part of the video I do want to discuss has nothing to do with K8s. It's where Theo draws the line of primeagen. Hey, this is me. Hey. He explains that some technologies trade scalability, performance, flexibility, whatever, for speed of development. Deploying Next.js using Vercel and Firebase is quick, but it comes at a cost. As you scale up, either by adding users or by adding more complex features, you need to do one of two things. Rewrite with something more flexible or performant, pay a lot of money to a third party to handle your problems for you. I think one of the problems that, I've never loved this trade-off generally. I understand you want to make the trade-off to move as fast as possible. But one thing I really dislike just generally about this trade-off is that you get to this place where the services that you're using is costing you one developer per year. But for you to fix it is going to take 3 developers due to the size of your application now. You can't just re-architect everything. You're going to have to halt all feature production. You're going to have to do so much stuff to rewrite it, right? And the technical debt becomes really high. So you just choose to push forward. And then you develop more features. Your program gets a lot larger. And then what happens? It's now costing you 2 or 3 developers. But for you to fix it is going to take all of your developers for 6 months' time. And you're like, I still can't make this trade-off. It's the one thing I really dislike. I mean, there's some programs out there that you write that simply will never run into that scale issue, and then I think it's super smart to take advantage of these type of items, right? If you're working on a program, and let's say it's a B2B program where your maximum audience is 10,000 businesses, it's why wouldn't you go that route, right? Why wouldn't you just fully lean into managed everything and just trade off all the complexity because you're not going to have your problem will never be a large amount of requests. But the inverse is if you have something that you're trying to shoot for millions of people making requests, there does become a difficulty at some point in trying to scale these two things at the same time. And that's always my worry about using third-party services is they're both super amazing and they're also provide hurdles at some point. You know what I mean? What I did for a local roofing company, I think that's exactly what you should do. If you're building a local website for a local company, why wouldn't you just use the easiest thing, right? You're just hey, you only get charged for the requests you make. You don't have to monitor anything. You don't even have to run your own server. It just runs. That's it. I'm here. Better late than never. Hey, Wags, I'm actually reading your article right now. And so to me, that makes perfect sense. And so this trade-off has always been such a hard trade-off to make because I think for you to make this trade-off, you have to know yourself. And that is a difficulty for a lot of people, right? Can you deliver the features in a reasonable amount of time without using the things you think are going to become expensive? Or maybe you should just do that because you believe that you will be able to scale and rewrite it effectively as time comes or whatever you want to do. Linode, $5! I mean, literally, Linode is actually $5 a month for their small one, right? But it also sucks to manage, right? Managing servers sucks, right? Can we all be real? It sucks, right? It's not it's fun. You need a team at some point if you're doing your own stuff. There's definitely a difficulty there that everyone should be completely willing to recognize. Anyways, okay. So the idea is that you should choose the fastest ship technology. The idea is that you should choose the fastest. By the way, Linux scrolling sometimes is a little bit Linux screen tearing, scrolling. Great times. So the idea is that you should choose a fast-to-ship technology so that you can move faster and hire more cheaply. I can ship a Go app to K8s faster than I can get ESLint, TSC, VS Code. Thank you for the you didn't know if this was a family-friendly stream or not, so I genuinely appreciate that. To cooperate, but I digress. Again, so this is one of those fun facts that I like to talk about right here. This is when someone says developer speed, what they're meaning is developer familiarity, right? What they really mean here is because I'm familiar with Go and K8s, I can launch something super fast. Oh, you're familiar with TSC and how Vercel does things and how Vercel does, say, environment variables and how it does this and that and the other. And so therefore you're faster at that side, whereas I'm faster at this side. It's I really dislike general talks about developer experience because it's almost like they should rename it the experience of developers, not developer experience. Anyways, then you stick with that strategy until you scale up to the line of prime. This is where things just get really expensive, right? The Firebase curve. And not all curves are the same, right? Not all curves are the same, and some are more expensive and some are less expensive, right? Dude, I don't know what happened to my voice, but it's like falling apart right now. It represents the point where you're spending so much money due to slow code or third-party costs that it's worth it to do the hard things required to oh my goodness, I had a stroke. It represents the point where you're spending so much money due to slow code or third-party costs that it's worth it to do the hard things required to more efficiently scale, whatever that means in your case. By the way, my wife had 3 night terrors last night. I didn't get enough sleep, and whenever I don't get enough sleep, I get the worst dyslexia. It's like I can't read, and every word looks like the word had. I don't know what happens, but it's like I see had all day long, and I can't read, and I just see H's. H's are everywhere. Why are there so many H's? All right. Okay. You got to hire a Rust Chad and kick those React Andes to the curb. I know. Hell yeah. You tell. Or something. Dude, I know. I don't know what happens. What's wrong with this idea? Well, nothing real. Theo's correct. If you're a founder, indie hacker, or engineer number 1 at a startup, that is exactly how you should be thinking. Yeah. I'm actually pretty fine. I'm pretty fine with this, that if you're just trying to see if something works, if you're trying to get spaghetti to stick to a wall, sometimes it's better just to take as many shortcuts as possible. Like, that's why I don't, it's a reason why I don't abstract right away, right? I don't like abstracting right away because I don't even know if I'm correct in my premise. To be honest, that sentence needed some commas, maybe. Maybe my brain was also hurting, right? And so it's just like people, like when you meet somebody that's always the person that tries to write the best version of software first try, you often find that that person writes software in which you just have more abstraction, more difficulty, more hard times trying to get through things. It's like not everything needs to be perfect to begin with. Sometimes it's actually perfect to not be perfect. Sometimes it's better to just simply get the thing out to see if it even works, as opposed to get the thing out that's in its idealistic state. Hold on, my phone's not on Do Not Disturb, so I'm just getting like pinged like wild. Ping, ping, ping. There we go. The problem is that you weren't a founder, an indie hacker, or engineer number 1 at a startup. 99% of my readers want to be a great engineer and earn high salaries as employee 2 through 10,000 at a tech company. There's nothing wrong with that, but it means you should think about this stuff differently. See, again, I tell you guys this. I'm telling you, Lane is so good at his takes. I love Lane's takes. Lane, it's a good take. It's a good take. The usual Lane W. Common Lane W. Just standard Lane W. What should you do? When I look at the graph above, I think, how can I be the one they throw money at to come in and do the hard things? In other words, when you're making a business decision, it's generally good to pick the simplest, fastest, and cheapest option. When you're making a career decision, it pays to be an expert in hard things. Good job, Lane. You're great. Lane W. Lane W. Just W's. You got to stand it. I think I now understand what Trump means when he says we'll be sick of winning. Lane, you're just tossing out too many W's today. I actually am sick of it. Can you just have one bad take at least so I can pretend that I'm better than you? I'm sick of this. To be clear, I'm not saying that you should solve simple problems in complicated ways just to inflate your market value. That can have opposite effect. Bad engineers do that, I'd say. Gain the hard skills required to solve complex problem, but only deploy complex solutions when they're needed. Dang it, Lane, another W. Damn, man, this is so good. It's just so good. Just stop with all these things. Like this is another thing that Lane, you put it perfectly, because here's the problem you're going to hear on the internet constantly. You know, complex code is bad. Simple, you should always just do simple. It's just like, you know what? Complex problems sometimes just have complex solutions. There's no easy way around it. Famu, if you're here, how easy was it to do NeoVim's options? with your local, global, local, this, that, the other, buffer, window, these, right? Like, doing options for something like Vim is a complex, difficult problem. It's, yeah, proper answer right here. By the way, NeoVim core contributor right here. That's the proper answer. That problem is complex as shit, and it's hard. Like, sometimes there's not a simple solution to things. Sometimes it's hard, and you need to know when hard is needed, or when complex is needed. But I'll tell you, a real trick is when you can make a complex solution have a simple interface. That's the real trick of life. It's truly the real trick of life is to have that. Is that if you can hide it, man, it can make such a difference. You gotta know when hard is needed. The primeagen. Go fine here. I'm gonna take that. We'll copy it. Add quote. I think that's how you do it. Quote. Add that. There you go. Quote 52 of the stream. Let's go. Quote. I love that we're using a modern HTML5 browser to send commands over the 21st century network to get read by a bot that uses 30-year-old protocol to read it. By the way, this is talking about IRC, written in C, using a language designed in the 70s over a network model that was designed in the 80s to enter commands in an editor built in 76 to stream video to people in 2019. This is when I was playing around with sending stuff from Twitch to my Vim experience. This is a fact. Anyways, good quote. Good quote. Good quote. All right. Maybe you should learn Kubernetes. By the way, I don't know Kubernetes. Maybe I need to learn Kubernetes. Okay, I know stuff about networks. I don't really know stuff about this stuff. I should learn Kubernetes. People don't like to hear this, but difficulty is a moat. When something gets easy, it gets cheap. If you want to be paid a lot, you really need to be good at something that's both in demand and hard. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. That's why very few people actually made money drop shipping in 2015 or buying NFTs in 2017. It's a good point. Few people did the thing, right? Somehow he even got a W statement with the word NFTs in there. And NFTs are a scam, but somehow he did it. Somehow this is still a W statement, and you just used NFTs. That's hard. The line of making money again. I fully agree with this graph. This graph is absolutely 100% correct. The graph is fully erect, fully correct, fully everything. It's also why I hate when coding bootcamps talk about how easy it is to learn to code. It's not easy. At least not if you're doing interesting stuff that pays well. I do love this take too. And also, like, I actually hate that take just in general because your first time learning about an if statement is not all that hard. Your first time learning about a function and it being attached, say, to a class and how you have these state containers and all this stuff mixed together is actually extremely difficult your first time. I genuinely struggled to learn how to program. And then I learned about recursion. Recursion is genuinely a hard topic the first time you learn it. It just is because it's just fundamentally not how your brain works. Now, there's going to be some people that are going to be like, well, actually, I had a math. I found it super duper easy. Okay, you again are the exception that proves the rule. You are not the rule. Okay? When everybody else around you goes, I don't get it, and you go, it was easy. It's because you're not normal. You're unnormal. You're unusual, okay? I am the rule. I'm the person that completely struggled. Okay? I completely struggled. Or you're lying. Or you're a liar. There's people who struggle to tweet incoming. Tweet incoming. There are two types of people. People who struggled to learn recursion and people who lied about how... Dang it, how do I say this? How hard recursion is to learn. How do I say that? How do I say this? There's like a good one. And people who lied about it and liars. I like that. I like it. And liars. Okay, what's the meaning of this phrase? An exception that proves the rule. Okay, the easiest way to do this. What's the meaning? Why the hell exception proves the rule? Here's a very simple thing. Here's a rule. Humans should have 2 legs. You can find an exception though, right? What does the exception say about the rule? The exception says, trust me, you guys don't have 3 legs, okay? You guys don't. I can tell you right now, your below statistically average third leg does not count as a leg. Okay, I just hate to tell you this, but that ain't a leg, my friend. Okay, it's barely an appendage. So don't try to pat yourself on the back too hard there. Okay, quit breaking an arm, patting yourself on the back. But f you. I'm just saying, it's a little baby arm. Okay, you got yourself. You know that hand on Scary Movie 2? Baby hand. Okay, you got a baby leg. But real talk, like when I say that rule, that is a well-accepted, established rule. But if you meet somebody that does not have 2 legs, you don't go, rule broken. Humans don't have 2 legs. You go, oh, this is unusual. This is abnormal. This is actually a rule. Like this is an exception that proves the rule, is what that means. So that's what it means by an exception that proves the rule, right? And so when everybody says, man, recursion was really hard, and everybody says that, and then one person goes, I thought it was easy. You're not proving that the rule's not true. You're an exception, and you're so exceptional that it actually makes it, like it makes the case for the rule more strong. How is this shocking? I know this may be difficult. Exceptions, how is this hard, right? So when everybody around you says recursion was hard to think, and it's like literally everywhere, and then one person thinks it's easy, it only makes that gap larger. Does that make sense? So like when there's 100,000 people that cannot figure out recursion right away, and then one person that can, you're like, damn, that's like a 1 out of 100,000 person. This is so exceptional, right? And so it's called the exception that proves the rule, right? The exception that proves the rule, right? Because there's exceptions that don't like that disprove the rule, which is also a very common thing that happens, right? So if I tell you, you know, that usually those things are in any sort of like more formal, rigorous proof, right? It means the rule is not a tautology. Yes, that's what that means. Thank you for all your math speak, right? If I say that, you know, all people are fast, and you can find exceptions everywhere, it's no longer like, sorry, dog. These exceptions. They're actually disproving your rule. People are not fast, right? You're wrong. You're wrong. Anyways, let's keep on going. You can find the opposite, right? 2 standard deviations. You think that's the thing? Can you please explain what is hard about recursion? Asking for my future self to explain it. Recursion. The hardest part about recursion is the fact that recursing is the path to the answer, and that a complex problem can be boiled down to an if statement. And to be able to understand that if statement and that return point is how you build up the answer from the simple thing. That's what's so hard, right? It's just that to be able to see it. For me, it was to be able to like visualize it happening. And that's why, for me, the easiest thing to learn how to do recursion is a maze solver. Effectively, do a depth-first search on a maze to find the exit. To me, that became something that was very, very simple way to visualize it. Because then I'm like, oh yeah, you literally just go left and you keep going left, and then you eventually can't go left anymore, and then you go down at that last point, and then you can like watch it happen, and it's a lot easier. I have a literally free algorithms course where I go over what I think is the best way to learn recursion. It's free forever, no credit card, none of that crap. Go check it out, Front End Masters. I think it's just fantastic. I think recursion is extremely difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, right? Front End Masters, yeah. They're very nice for me to be able to do that. To be clear, I don't believe in standing in the way of progress. I want coding and software engineering to get simpler, easier, faster. The result of that, however, is that the winning strategy for software engineers is to continually build expertise in in-demand, hard-to-learn stuff. So should I not learn Next.js? I'm not trying to single out any individual technologies, except for Java. Don't do Java, kids. Based. Not cool, okay? Real talk, though, if you're just trying to get a job in backend in general, having Java, at least as a familiarity / being okay with, is a good thing. Okay? It's a good thing just to have it in your tool belt, just to say you have it. It will help you. I'm saying that you shouldn't be scared of the hard stuff. Don't jump from easy tutorial to easy tutorial. Once you've found your bearings in this whole coding thing, start tackling some harder problems. The work will pay off. I agree. So, just something to what's the draft off of? There you go, draft off of. Is that like for boot.dev, right after I get done with this Git course that I'm doing right now, the next thing I'm doing is we're going to be going deep probably onto the networking side, maybe, right? And so building out what it takes to understand how like HTTP is actually created. Like how does TCP actually work? How do networks actually exist, right? And so like that's going to be a lot of fun. DNS, we will raw dog DNS packets. We will raw dog them because they're not hard. Like DNS is not crazy. We will raw dog it. We will send out DNS packets, and we will find our way to places, and we will then connect via networks, right? For free. Interesting, yeah. You're making Git course. I'm making a Git course. Yeah, I have a Git course that's going to be on boot.dev here soon. I can only get so hard, and so like that's the hard stuff. I think it's really nice to learn. I think even having a basic understanding of networks will help you in so many ways. Like, have you ever thought about like when you do like say an Express app for all those JavaScript kiddies in this room? When you do an Express app and you literally just go like Express const app equals Express app.get/:ID. What do you think goes on there? Like a lot of people don't even realize like that goes on. Like that all HTTP requests come with a path that's included. That path is then able to be parsed out. The :ID is simply just telling the underlying item to use a regex, even though I hate that idea, or really an index of more than likely, and to be able to find the next slash and then to be able to take that. Yes, Santa's reply, absolutely. So there you go. Way too dank. And like that's how those things work. And people don't really regex is gross. I personally wouldn't even use a regex. You could just use index of next / because // are considered special characters. You have the URL encode those to be able to use them in that. So you actually don't have to use regexes at all. It's pretty straightforward. But anyways, there you go. Anyways, I really like Lane. I really like his articles. I think his articles are fantastic. I love this idea of learn the hard things that are in demand. The demand of the thing plus the difficulty of the thing means how you make money. Okay? Because the reality is if all you know how to do is write React for simple sites and build simple looking CSS stuff, like I hate to tell you this, but I can also go to v0.dev and say, build me a calculator, right? And this nice little website, besides for flashbanging you, will also go on here and build you a gosh darn calculator. Devin can do that. There we go. Awesome. Look at that. I even have myself a nice little React component. Fantastic. I have some nice Tailwind in here, some nice React components, bada bing, bada boom. I don't need you to do that, right? And so it's just like if this is your skill set, you must understand that your skill set, though in demand, difficulty is like 0. Bro, it doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work, but I'm just saying if your skill... Dude, how did you miss the point of this? How the hell did you just miss the point of what I just did? I said if your skill set is building pretty React and CSS, that shit's easy. Okay? That's like AI level stuff. Because that's just an autocomplete. Like we can all see the autocomplete part. It's not pretty. Well, it's prettier than you're going to make in 15 minutes, right? Or how long did this take me to do? 45 seconds? You're not gonna beat that, right? That's what I mean. Like if you're just simply making something simple, you got to get better, right? And so this idea that your skill set and your pay is based on these two axes, this makes sense, right? This makes sense that if you're a highly in-demand job, you're simply going to get paid more even if the difficulty's low, right? If your demand's super high but the difficulty's low, you will still get paid pretty well. But if the difficulty's high and the demand is really low, guess what? It's hard to get that job. It doesn't. But the thing that this graph does miss, which I think is very, very true, is that let's just say difficulty is extremely high. We're going to put diff down here and demand up here. You can have the difficulty be extremely high and the demand low, but the cost right here is incredible because it also means the supply is probably really, really low as well. So like think about compilers. Think about the people building Swift. Okay, there's only like 6 people building Swift. They're not looking to hire. But how much do you want to bet the people building Swift are making a ton of money? So Is it good to, is it maybe it's better to say this right here represents the chance of making great money, right? That's probably better to say, is that the chance of making good money, right? And so if you have difficulty high and demand low, the chance of you making great money is a standard deviation above the average software engineer, right? If you want to make a standard deviation above the average software engineer, then assuming that it's a normal distribution for pay, right? That there's some people right here, some people, put a number on it. Where do you live? What country? What time? Pre or post pandemic? During a pandemic? Like this, the number changes continuously. The number from 6 months ago to today is much, much different, right? So no, I'm not putting a number behind it. I'm saying there exists a curve, and if you don't want to be the nipple of the curve, but you want to be that deep inside thigh, guess what? You're going to need to have something that's really difficult. Now, the hard part is, what is the probability of you landing here? Well, the probability of you landing here is going to be the demand, right? So if the demand is high for this position and the difficulty is high for this position, you will get that thigh. Okay? You'll get that underboob. It's going to be fantastic. But if you're over here, not as good, right? Bro, just stop doing maths. Just give us the number. Sometimes, okay, you know how I said I like you guys? I actually take it back. I don't like you guys. You're a bunch of smelly nerds, and I don't like you guys, okay? I don't like him. I don't like any of you. The name. Be in demand. Learn the difficult things. It's worth it every single time. Boot.dev/prime. Got him. Ad. It's a hashtag ad. I think this is considered an ad. It's hard for me to consider this an ad because it's like, is it an ad if you're selling yourself? I don't know. Yeah. Ad, not ad, not ad. I don't know. Is it? Is it though? I know you guys are saying yes, but I don't think it's because okay, then here, hold on. We're gonna have this conversation even as a part of this. If I say follow me on Twitter, is that an advertisement? And if you say it's not, then guess what? You're a hypocrite. Really, saying follow me on Twitter is an ad? Really? So if I say follow me on Twitter, I should also put hashtag ad. I know, don't be silly. I know. I'm just saying you're promoting I know, that's the hard part. Is what is it? Anyways, now you know the difference. I always want to make sure that I'm very, very clear about these things because my biggest fear is that somebody thinks that I'm not clear about something or that I'm trying to hide something. I never try to hide something. I have been trying to be very, 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 very clear on what is and what isn't because it is an indirect ad since you advocate for yourself and the site. Yeah, I would consider it an indirect one. It's in fact, boot.dev is the reason why if I choose to leave Netflix, it's actually a very feasible route. And so this is why it's so important to me is because boot.dev is actually it's going to be the thing that saves my bacon and allows me to do it. So it's actually the reason why I get to consider full-time streaming. So big thank you, boot.dev.